What up, everybody? Welcome to another coffee hour with me, Paul Abernathy, your host. Thanks for joining me, taking time out of your day to spend it with me while we look at the National Electrical Code and learn a little bit and share some information between each other and just get your day off to a start. Again, it's glorious to be alive. We're on this earth for a short amount of time, making the best of it as always, and trying to make our lives better, trying to do something that's going to help us not sit on our laurels, not get our, think we achieved everything in life and stop because we haven't. There's always more to learn. And so that's why we come to Coffee Hour. And I enjoy seeing all of you here day in and day out. We do this Monday through Friday if you're new. We do it from 8 a.m. Eastern time until 9. Sometimes I run a little over. Okay. I have a tendency to be long-winded. We all know that. But we cover a lot of information and answer various questions. We give away, we give people, get people in the drawing to get some goodies, and all those type of good things. So thanks for taking the time out of your day to join me. As always, I love to hear successes, achievements, milestones from all you out there. I live vicariously through all of my students. People know that for decades now. I literally love to see the success of students who are in our programs, who watch our videos. And so again, always take the time to drop me whether you drop me an email, whether you drop us a text, whether you drop us something on our websites, maybe a comment. I love hearing from students and people who have found it successful, not just the people that have purchased the courses, but people that also watch me on the YouTube and other channels and all. We've been doing this for quite a few years, and it's a tight group of followers because I don't really appeal to the masses. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to get 500,000 followers on YouTube for code, right? I'm going to get people that are dedicated to code or trying to pass an exam. I'm not the kind of guy that does the videos where you see me wiring up a switch and pulling non-metallic sheet cable. It's just not my thing. I'm a code guy. And so I already identified that early on in my career, what I wanted to focus on. And it's not glamorous, it's not fancy, but it is the code. And everything that we do in the electrical industry is founded in code. Whether you believe it or not, things that you remember in your installation that you think is just the hands-on, it's all founded in code, right? Securing and supporting, it's all in code. You may do it out of habit, but in the end of the day, it's all founded in code. So my mission is to keep code fresh, keep it in your mind, always make you think about it. Come in, join us for a show. Maybe you go and you don't come for the next one, but you come back later and you join me again. That's okay. Just glad that you're here. Now, I will say this, if you appreciate the show, you appreciate what we bring, do me a favor, always give a like and share. And let other people know. If you're on YouTube and you want to make a donation, we appreciate everything you donate. All those type of things. If you want to subscribe to our Fast Tracks Tube or our Trade Hog or even get our courses, trust me, I want you to know that I do appreciate every bit of what you do for us. So with that said, I want you folks to let me know in the chat where you're from, if you're a Fast Track student, what your name is, and share something you want to share with us. Remember, you can always do the hashtag win, all capitals now, hashtag WIN, capital, not lowercase, capital. And let us know where you're at, where you're from. We would love to see it, and I will share it on the screen. And if it takes up the whole front part of the show, that's fine, because I want you all to know how much I do appreciate you. So that is important to me, okay? So again, let's get some names in here. David, thank you. Good morning from Florida. Glad to have you here. Paul, a regular down in Houston, Texas. Thanks for joining me, Paul. Glad to have you here with us. Adam, good morning, everybody. Got the pint of coffee and everything. Adam, I think I did send you an email. I don't know if you found it or not. But I did send you an email about a little extension there for you. Hopefully you got it. If not, let me know. Good morning, Cray from Nashville, Tennessee, the Music City. There you go. Nepo, good morning, fellow Sparkies. Thanks for being here, Nepo. Appreciate you. Christopher's in the house. Christopher, good morning. Glad to have you here. Glad to have you with us. Let's see. John, lucky winner of a minimalist wallet. I don't know if you got that wallet yet, John, but hopefully you did. But good morning. Glad to have you here. Again, people hitting that hashtag win. I love it. I love giving stuff away and getting people in on the drawing. Tino, welcome. Thanks for being here. What does Miles say? 2 hours till West Virginia master exam. 2 hours till your exam. Okay, look, focus. You've learned all you can learn at this point. Don't let it rattle around in your head. Just focus. Remember, 3-wave method. First wave, answer everything you know right away. If you know the answer, you feel you know the answer right away, answer it. And if it takes more than a minute, do the electronic check or write the question number down and skip to the next one. Okay, you'll get it on the second wave. Okay, it's 2 hours from now. If you can do anything, if I tell you any advice, my advice is after today's coffee hour, go and watch our 3-wave method and let that be the kind of be your guide while you're taking the exam. Okay, again, there's a method to the madness, but as far as learning the code at this point, your mind is probably already filled up with information. So you're ready. You put in the time. Just be positive. You're going to nail it. Okay, you're going to nail it. Go in there positive. What's up, Rob? Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. Outdoors, man. Thank you. All these regulars. I love seeing it. Y'all have a choice for what you do in the morning. And again, time is precious. And y'all do come every morning. I appreciate it. You have no idea. Edgar. Thank you, Edgar. Appreciate it. I'm going to have to come up with something for all, after a while, we're going to have to come up for something for all these regulars that come, kind of a little thank you, something here. So Manny Sanchez, there's my Facebook friend. Thanks for coming. Let me get Manny to do hashtag win in all capital letters. All caps, all caps, all caps. Manny, I'll use you for the poster boy for that. Let's see here. Jay Orman, Jay, good morning. Thank you. Love the cat. You're a cat lover? I love cats. I don't have any cats right now. All my cats passed away. I got 3 dogs, but I'm missing a cat. Something about a cat. I don't know. I love cats. So there's Red Dog. Red Dog. Make sure you do that hashtag win in a total separate comment because I don't know if it works with the whole comment, but good morning. Glad to have you here. Frank, good morning's in the house. Frank the Great. The great one is in the house. Kendra, Montana, not part of the fast track yet, but you will be, I'm sure. You want the best structured exam prep program in the world, then you will get it. I have faith in you. Adam says, quick question, can you use this method on a strip mall calculation? Just wondering. So this is the optional method for dwelling units. So no. Strip mall's not the dwelling unit. There's other calculations, but not what we're talking about because we're talking about dwelling units today. All right, let's see here. Where do we go here? Yeah, Tino, South Houston, wanted to let us shout out where we're at. Van Man is in the house. Good morning. Sarasota, got my code book ready. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, Adam, you did get it. Good. Let me know whether it works for you or not. Okay. Let's see here. John says, not quite yet, but I'm sure it will arrive here soon. It is. I just got noticed that some things are, arriving slowly. So you should get it. Joey, good morning. Glad to have you here. There you go. Manny took care of it. Hashtag win. Okay. Let's get into today's lesson. We got a lot. We're going to do a quick recap. And then we're going to get into the second part of our optional method. I do want to say that today's show is sponsored by TradeHog. So if you're interested in TradeHog, you want to get the most amazing code expert in your pocket, right? In your pocket, then you want to get TradeHog. Okay, that's not hyperbole. That is the best. I was testing it. There's a video I have up where I was testing the hog. I was really pushing it. We did a 1-hour video. I think it was yesterday or whatever it is. Sometimes I record them and release them. But it was really testing the hog. I mean, it was digging deep and the hog was coming out good. And then at the end, it had a weird where it didn't take into account something. And I told it because I have to interject some knowledge into it for it to learn. And then it hit it perfectly. And then I asked it a follow-up question about you first and it nailed it. And it learned from my previous response. So That's pretty cool. When you see that type of stuff, that's pretty cool. There's no optional method for coffee units. Let's see here. Good morning, Chicago. Dan Martins, Fast Track's Black student. Legacy, our Black program. Okay. All right. Let's get into the day's lesson. Let's go. Okay. So again, your comments are still on the screen. This was a highly requested thing by a user who went to paulabernathy.com and said, I would like to see the chats while you're showing a presentation. So you got it. I try to please as much as I can where it makes sense to do it. And of course, right here, you still see #win, okay, that type of thing. So I'm learning. We're getting better. Show's always evolving. If you go back, you can actually see shows from 10 years ago that I did. And I've been doing it longer than that, but I really didn't start keeping them in a repository till about 10 years ago. Otherwise, they're on hard drives. And I used to upload them to AOL, and it was a mess. But I still have some of the old stuff, and it's kind of funny to watch. But the new stuff, I kind of still keep 10 years ago. So it's kind of funny to watch how it's evolved. And some people say my deliveries evolved differently. I don't know. I've always felt I'm the same guy either way. But anyway, it's kind of cool for me to go back and look from time to time. Okay, we're not going to redo what we did in part 1. So make sure you go back and watch part 1. But we took all of this information right here, and we did the optional calculation, and we got all the way up to heating and air conditioning. That's where we left off. So if I were to go through here, you can see how we worked it, yada, 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 and the appliances and how we did it. I'm not going to rehash all that. But the first part of 220.82 B is we came up with 22,922 VA, okay? That was the first part. So we worked through it. What's up, David? Glad to see you. Judah, good to see you here. Terrence, good to see you here. Good morning. Haas, good to see you here. Glad to have y'all here today. And so we already did that part. So that was our B total. And now we're moving on. In today's episode, we're going to move on to looking at 220.82C. Now remember, we're doing dwellings, okay? So in future shows, we might tackle restaurants. We might tackle a commercial building. Again, coffee hour is Monday through Friday. We got a lot of days left in this year. So I'm assuming we're going to cover all kinds of things, okay? I'm sure I'll do a coffee hour on motors again and transformers again. I'm sure we'll do it code questions again. So that's why you want to subscribe, because you just never know what the heck I'm going to talk about. All right. Okay. All right. So now let's take a deep dive. James is in the house. Simplex, welcome, my friend. All right. Let's take a deep dive, and then we're going to tackle the heat and air conditioning. Unlike the standard method where you compare, okay. Oops. In the optional, In the optional method, you have sizing options, and you simply choose the largest of those options. Okay, so the first thing is we have to convert that VA. So as you can see here, all of these are amps and volts. So we have to convert this, and y'all are all aware of that multiplication. Amps times volts is going to give us our VA value. That's what we need to work with. So as with anything, that's the first thing you should do is convert. Get everything on a convert so we know that we're working in what we're working with. All right, so let's make sure, and always double check me. Have your calculators. You never know when I might put in a whoops and see if you can find it, or see if we can find it during a show. You never know. Okay, I use these slides for a lot of presentations, and I manipulate them, but I don't always go back and change things because I'm a lazy educator. Okay, all right, so first one is 16.6 times 230, because that's what we're given. So 16.6 times 230, and that is 3,818. That is what we've got, so check, we're good there. The next one was the condensing fan right here, which is 2 amps at 150 volts. By the way, always use what they give you in the question. If you're preparing for an exam, don't try to get clever and think outside of the box. It's always just answer what they give you. There's going to be situations on an exam that you're going to look at and go, but that's not how I do it in the real world. You need to forget the real world if you're doing an exam. Now, if you're in the field, then obviously you're just going to take the values that you have. There's not going to be much of a difference between whether you did 2 amps at 115 or 2 amps at 120. So in the real world, it's not going to matter as much. And again, if you're using 215 or using 220, it's not going to hurt your overall calc. But exams are different. They're always different. So you never knew who's writing the exam. You never know what so you have to be diligent in that. Okay. All right. So 2 times 115 is 230. And that's what we have. And just to show you, that's what I have on my calculator right here. The old trusty Casio. We got it. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't work, depending on how much light I have, but we have new studio lighting in here, so should work fine. The next is air handler, which is 3.2 amps times 115. Okay, and that is 368, so that is correct. Okay, now, we also know here that we have 3 banks of 5 kW. So basically, it's 3 separate strips of 5 kW. Okay, so 3 individual units. Now, they are controlled probably by 1 setting. Okay, so 1 control point. Okay, but there is 3 banks of them. Okay, so again, there's so many different choices when it comes to, this could be baseboard heat, this could be whatever. In our question, we're looking at it, since we're doing the optional method, we're looking this as it's electric heat. It is 3 banks of 5, overall 15. Okay, so that's how we're looking at it. But since there's 3 of them, they're probably in 1 central unit, controlled by 1 thermostatically controlled setting. Okay, but just keep in mind that we have 3 here, and so that's 15 kW. So it's just simple math: 5 kW times 3. Okay, right. All right. So now we know, like Adam. Thank you, Adam. Adam says, "Thanks for breaking it down in the simple method." For daft people like me. No, you'll be surprised the amount of comments I get from people. I'll get comments from people that say, you go too slow, or you break it down too slow, or I get the full spectrum. You never can please everybody. So here's what I tell people that don't like my style. Don't watch me. Is that the easiest way to be? So for those that appreciate it, thank you. For those that say I'm too repetitive, it's just how I teach. So you wouldn't believe some of the hate stuff that I get. And I'm like, why do you watch my stuff if it bothers how I do it? You don't like it, don't watch it. Move on, right? I'm not about numbers, so I don't care. But I know you appreciate it, Adam, so thank you. All right, so there we go. So that's what we're going to be working with. Okay, let's deep dive it. Okay, so now when we go look at the NEC, and let's go look at the NEC real quick. All right, so let's kind of pop over to the NEC. So here we are at the NEC. Let me see if I can't. Let's see here. It used to at one time let me get rid of this stuff on the left. I'm not sure why it's not letting me get rid of it. It did at one time. It let me get rid of this on the left here. Huh. Well, now I don't know what's going on. Why it won't let me anymore. Oh well, doesn't matter. But it used to be I could shut this part down. I don't know if it's the size of my screen or I'm not sure what's going on with that. Why it won't let me to get more real estate here. But anyway, never mind. Okay, so this is where we're at, guys. We're at 220.82 dwelling units. Somebody asked earlier if it applies to other than dwelling. No, this is the calculation that we're doing today, optional method for dwellings. So only a dwelling unit. So that's all it can apply to, right? Dwelling units. All right. So we did B in part 1. So now we're down here. We're looking at C. Now notice what it says. Now this differs from the standard method, right? Because we're competing AC versus heat in a sense that we had some hurdles we had to go through. Here it's pretty simple. It says the largest of the following 6 selections in kVA shall be included. So it doesn't say heat and AC. It says I want the largest, right? So we have to move through this and determine which is the largest. All right. So you have 6 options here. Okay. 6 options to choose from. So you're gathering your information for your heat. We've already gathered it. It's 15 kW, 3 banks of 5. We gathered our air handler, air conditioning, and condenser. So we have all of our information to go through these. All right. So I just wanted to set the tone there. We have everything we need. Let's get back to the lesson. All right. So C1, here we go. AC. It says the NEC says 100% of the nameplate rating of the air conditioning and cooling. Good morning, Angel. Glad to have you here. I am doing well. Superb. Cannot complain. Life is good. When I woke up, my eyes opened up this morning and I said, thank you, Jesus. Okay, that's my only reference to that today. All right. So we're going to look at the air conditioning. So we already did the math, right? We know that 16.6 times 230 is 3,818. Remember, we're not doing any 125% here. That's what's so interesting about this. We harp on that method in the standard method or part 3 method where we have to take the largest motor if it's the lesser of the non-coincident loads, and we have to take the air conditioning unit at 125% and the sum of the other load, and we have to compare all that stuff. In the optional method, it's like, no, just take it at its value and add it up. We don't have to worry about that 125% BS. We just go 3,818. Condensing fan, 2 times 115 is 230, so it's 3,818 plus 230. And then that air handler, 3.2 plus times 115 is 368. Add them all up. Don't trust me. Add it up yourself. That's the exercise. That's how you learn. And that is 4,116. There you go. You see it on my screen. Okay, so we're good there. So that is the AC. So you write that down because that may be the largest. But I can tell you right now that we already know that the heat is 15 kW. So me and you know that I don't even have to write down this one because 4,416 is less than the heat. So it doesn't really matter what the heat's going to be. It's already greater than the AC. So we already know that C1 is not going to be used. Okay, fair enough? We get it? Okay, all right. Let's see. Let's go down. All right, so that's that one. All right. So the next one would be if we were dealing with a heat pump. So it says the NEC says 100% of the nameplate rating of the heat pump when the heat pump is used without any supplemental heat. So if there's no supplemental heat, maybe you're in a certain part of the country where they're using a heat pump, but they don't need any supplemental heat. Okay, temperature doesn't get down enough that's going to get below the optimum operation of a typical heat pump, which usually is efficient down into the mid 20s. Okay, my heat pump, for example, my Rude, I have a very efficient one here at the house, a new one, and I tell you what, it works all the way down in the low 20s without having to pull in any other heat strip or anything like that. So that's pretty rare. But again, this is just saying if you happen to have a situation where it's a heat pump and there isn't any supplemental heat, okay, then you simply just take the nameplate of the heat pump, and that may be large. If that's what you use, that's what you use. Okay. Let's see. Now, it says, however, if you have a heat pump and they give you the nameplate value, take that at 100% and compare it to everything else. Okay, so whatever that may be. We do not have a heat pump here. For an exam, they're going to have to let you know because there is certain nuances with the heat pump, and you'll see it in a minute, that you can't assume anything. And I hate an exam where I would cringe to think that they would make you try to assume something. And I know tests are different all over the country, but typically they have to give you enough information to be able to answer the question. Now, with that said, folks, if you get an exam question that is wonky or doesn't make sense, it's not going to make or break you. Okay, I hear people all the time say, I failed my exam by 1 point or 2 points. You really didn't fail your exam by 1 or 2 points. You really failed your exam. If it's 100 exam is 100 questions and you got a 69, let's say, and 70 was passing, you really failed it by 31 points, right? Not by 1 or 2. I know you just saying you missed it by 1 to get your life. I get it. My point is, if you study properly and you get a question and you don't know, and it's one like this and you feel like they didn't give you enough information, let's say, then skip it. I mean, mark it, give it an answer, but don't dwell on it, because one question is not going to make or break you. Okay? It's not. You might say, yeah, well, it did break me because I got a 69. No, it didn't. You had 30 other questions that you screwed up on. So collectively, stop letting it eat your mind away if you fail an exam by 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 points. Don't let it eat you. It sucks. I get it. It sucks. But you had a greater opportunity to pass because you really failed it by a lot of questions. Okay, so don't let your mind get rotted by one thing on an exam that you think you could have done better, because one question is not going to make or break you in the real scheme of everything. You can improve on everything as a whole. Now, I know it sucks to fail something by 1 or 2 or 3 points. I get it. It's awful. Sucks. Okay. Yep. Outdoors says in theirs, you got to have a 75% or higher. So again, you got to remember, it's if you failed it, you got a 74 or whatever, if it's 100 questions and then you actually failed it by 25 plus questions. You get what I'm saying? I'm just saying, I need people to get into a different mode, because we don't want you, even if you fail an exam, it's okay, right? We sell a database, Tino, of questions on our website. You can get 700 plus questions in a database. We sell just the database. I don't recommend people study using just database questions, because it gives you a false sense of understanding how to navigate the code. We give them to people in our Fast Tracks program. You get the database. But if you want questions and you're studying with some other program or whatever, and you just need questions at the end here, last couple weeks before an exam, we do sell databases over on our website. Okay. All right. So there you go. That's the second one. All right. So again, we don't have a heat pump, so it's not an equation for us, but be focused on that. All right. The third one. Okay. The third one is where you're in the country and you may have a heat pump with supplemental heat. I have a heat pump and I have supplemental heat. Okay. Here I have a 10, I think it's a 10 kW emergency strip. Okay. So it says here, this is not in ours. Okay. This is not our example, but I'll show you later an example where we could call this a heat pump and give you an idea how you would do it. But in an exam, they'd have to tell you that it's a heat pump, and they'd have to tell you it's got supplemental heat and all this kind of stuff. All right. But here's how you would address that. It says the NEC says 100% of the nameplate rating of the heat pump, so whatever the amps are on the nameplate, okay, and 65% of the supplemental electric heat of the central electric space heating system. Okay, so it would be whatever the kW is for the heat, take it at 65%, and you add that to the nameplate value. Now, if the heat pump compressor is prevented from operating at the same time as the supplemental heat, then again, say if the heat pump compresses, then it does not need to be added to the heat. So you just would use the heat. You wouldn't use the heat pump value if it can be interlocked. Why? Because the heat strip is usually higher than the heat pump would be, right? If you live in an area where you have, again, you're going to have supplemental heat, then there's a high probability that you have a defrost mode. And the defrost mode is probably going to be something that allows potentially both to come on at the same time. If that's the case, then you have to follow the general rule. You don't get to discount the heat pump value. You take the heat pump at 100 and you take the supplemental at 65%. Only time you get to forget about the heat pump value and just go with the heat is when you know that they can't be connected they can't come on at the same time. If you don't know that, then don't assume that. Okay. Now, our question wasn't about a heat pump at all, but I just think it's important that you understand how 220.82C3 works if you do have a heat pump, and it's pretty straightforward, right? And I'll show you an example later if you wanted to argue that this is maybe a heat pump with supplemental heat and they don't really say it really well, but I'll show you how you would do that. In a scheme of life, it makes a difference, okay, in the field. So it's important that you look at that, okay? All right, so the fourth one, when we're comparing, all right, and this is the one to pay attention to, it says in 220.82C4, it says 65% of the nameplate rating of the space heating if less than 4 separately controlled units. Well, we do have less than 4 separately controlled units. In fact, we have 3 banks. So even if they were individually controlled, they're still less than 4. But in this nature, because of how they're done, it says electric heat and the way the question is founded, that it's basically one control. So it would be less than 4 because it would be 1 and it controls 3 separate banks. But why is this important? Because I could have baseboard heat, and I could have separately controlled baseboard heating units, right? And so this is important because if I have 4 or more, then I have to do what? I'll have a different multiplier that I have to use, right? So again, at the end of the day, this one is really important. And this is one that's going to chime better with our question, right? Because it basically, there's the heat, and it tells me it's 3 banks, and then it gives me the air conditioning. So this is more in tune with what our question is asking, okay? What's up? What is that? A Estrada? Estrada? Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Charlie, I see you in here. All right. Dave, I see you in here. Hashtag win. Use capital letters, Dave. Hashtag win in capital letters to better take a chance on getting in the spin. A lowercase, I'm not sure if that works, but it might work. All right. You want to roll that dice and see? Leave it the way it is. We'll see. All right. So in this case, we had 15,000 VA or 15 kW, but as it says right here, we're going to multiply that by 65% or 0.65, depending on how your calculator works. And that should be 9,750 VA. Don't take my word for it. Let's do it. 15,000 times 0.65. Absolutely what we get right there. And you can see it right on the old Casio. Mr. Casio didn't lie today. So far it looks like this is our winner, but we have 2 more to look at. But so far, this looks like the one that we're going to be using. Okay. All right, the 5th one. And again, for those that are following along, we're looking at 220.85C. We're doing the heating and air conditioning, and we're trying to compare whichever the largest is. All right, so the next one says 40% for the nameplate rating of electric space heating if it's 4 or more separately controlled. So if I have 4 or more, okay, baseboard heat. If I have 4 or more separately controlled units with its own separate control, and it has to tell us this in the exam question, but in the real world, it might be baseboard heat or whatever it might be. If this is the case, then we get to use a 40% multiplier. Doesn't work for our question because as you can see in the, where is it? Where's it? Over there? Right there. You can see we have 3 banks of 5. And it's together in one electric heat, so it's probably controlled by one setting. So it's going to be one controlled unit, but it has 3 separate banks. But again, just remember, don't let it, remember it also can apply to individually separately controlled like baseboard heat as well, okay? So this is a 40% multiplier, okay? Well, we have 1 controlled unit. It happens to be controlling 3 separate banks that are put together, okay? So we do not have 4 or more. So this one obviously is not the one we're going to use. But I just want you to be sensitive of this. Did I stutter? Sensitive? Maybe I need some. Damn, I need some more coffee. Hold on. Let's go, Adam. We got our pint. Let's do it. Okay. So in this case, not going to apply to our dwelling, right? So we can skip it. All right, the last one. Well, we already know this one's not going to apply because this is talking about what? Electric thermal storage and other heating systems. Where usually load is expected to be continuous at the full nameplate value. And again, this type of thing, 100% of the nameplate if you have one of those electric thermal storage or other type of systems, geothermal storage or something like that, okay? Not what we have, right? One of the things to remember, if this one's going to be in play on an exam, they have got to tell you what it is. So a trigger to you would be if they say something about electric thermal storage. You're like, ding, ding, ding. Now, you still got to compare it to the others, but trust me, they have to give you the information. Otherwise, they can't just assume anything. And I know some of you out there say, no, they'll do that on an exam. They'll just give you both. They can't. Okay, I understand sometimes exams are tough. It's stressful. We think it says things it doesn't say. We never can remember the questions once we leave the exam. Look, I've written test questions for various states and PSI. they'll give you the information you need. It may be weak, but they'll give you the information you need. And if it's a question dealing with heat and they expect you to use the C6 option, they are going to have to tell you it's an electric thermal storage unit. They have got no choice because you can't get there any other way. Okay. Now, that brings me to this question people ask me all the time. Paul, on an exam, can I challenge a question? If I see something I know is just, they're full of crap, and can I challenge it? The answer to that is in most states, yes, you can challenge it. I have students that have challenged. I have students that have been successful on a challenge, and I have other students that it was futile. The state just said, look. And the real difference is, if you fail by one question and you're challenging that one question, obviously if you fail by one, you still missed 30. So it's worth it if you miss by one. If there is a question in there that really was challengeable, okay, then you may have them listen to you. If you really bomb the exam, then your challenge, whether you're right or wrong, I can promise you, if you get a 50 and the passing is 70 or 75, you can challenge until you're blue in the face. Most of those administrators aren't going to even look at it because one question is not going to change your score enough to pass. I'm just being real with you. Okay. So the best thing to do is come back, get motivated. If you failed an exam before, look, I'm self-promoting. Fast Track system to me, with our Fast Tracks Interact where you can ask me questions. I don't know any other program that's like that puts all this stuff together for you. And in the enhanced, you get videos as well. You will get it. You will pass. Just be patient. Okay. Once you get it, nobody cares what score you got. Whether I always say this, when I go to a doctor, you don't ask the doctor where he was in his class, right? He's an MD. Okay. Some are better than others, but I don't go, excuse me, doc. Were you the best in your class or were you the bottom of your class? I don't ask that question because he's a doctor. He's got that MD. Same thing. If you're a master electrician, journeyman electrician, it doesn't matter what your score is. Once you achieved it, you achieved it. Because to be honest with you, the learning really begins once you get your license. That's when you really start to learn. Okay. All right. So at this point, we've done all of them. Okay. We know that we're going with the heat. And we did everything else. So let's see here. So we bring our two values together. So this is from the other day. We did 220.82B and we got 22,922 VA. Okay. If you don't get that, go back and watch part one and you'll see how we came up with that. I'm not going to rehash that. And then the second one today, we came up with 9,750. Now, where did we get that? Remember, it was the 15,000 times 65% because we had less than 4 separately controlled heating strips. So we just took the whole 15, all 3 of them, and we applied the 65%, and that's how we got this number. We add the 2 together. Don't trust me, because you never know when I throw you a boober. So 22,922 plus 9,750 has 36,672. That's what we have on the screen. So hey, math skills are okay right now. All right, now, at this point, you simply divide that by 240 volts. That is our system voltage in this dwelling unit. So we're going to divide that by 240 in our example. And that gives me 136.13, as you can see. And again, remember, we have the allowance in 220.5B in the 2023 edition of the National Electrical Code. That's what we're using. We're always using the latest edition unless stated otherwise. But again, all of this process for the optional is exactly the same in the 2020, so there's no significant changes to worry about. In this case, we round it, or we drop it. So in this case, 0.5 or less than 0.5, excuse me. So 0.4 and below, we drop. So we have 136. So that's our amps. Okay, now, remember what I said. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's say that somebody out there in YouTube, Facebook, or whatever land says, Paul, you're wrong, guru. It's a heat pump. Okay, well, our question didn't say it was a heat pump, so we're not assuming it's a heat pump, but let's say we did. Okay, so if this was a heat pump, and this had said right here, instead of saying electric heat, it said heat pump, and then in parentheses says electric beside it. That makes more sense. Okay, but if that's the case, it says again, we take 100% of the nameplate rating of the heat pump compressor and 65% of the supplemental heat of the central tank. Now, I have nothing that tells me that one is prevented from coming on with the other. I have nothing that says that. So I'm going to take the 15 kW, multiply that by 65%, because that's what it says, okay? And then I'm going to take the loads of the air handler, air conditioning compressor, and condensing fan. And you remember the loads is 3818 for this one. Let's see, I think it was 368 for this one. And I don't know, we got to do it. I got to do it. 3.2 times 115. Okay, so this one is 368, okay? And then this one is 16.6 times 230. All right, that's 318.18. So 368 and 318.18. And then the last one is 2 times 115 is 230. So 230 plus 38.18 plus 368 that's our total. Okay. All right. So again, I might have a math boo-boo here. All right. Let me redo this. My memory is totally terrible, so I got to make sure. I want to make sure I didn't have a boo-boo right here. Y'all calculate it with me. See what you get. Say 3.2 times 115. Okay. 368. Okay. Plus, let's see here. Let's do 16.6 times 230. Okay. 318. Okay. And I'm going to do 2 times 115 equals 230. Okay. I'm going to add all these together. 368 plus 3818 plus 230. Okay. All right. So there's 4416. Okay. So Paul as a boo-boo right here. A boo-boo. A boo-boo right here. Okay. So it's because this right here is basically, we don't really know what here's the other problem with this question though. We don't know what the nameplate is. We're just adding up this air conditioning loads because we really don't know what the nameplate is, that type of thing. Okay, we really don't know. So we're in the real world, we're going to take it from the nameplate, but we're trying to do an assembly here. So let's do some editing while we're here. Okay, I like always working on this. So let's do this real quick and work together. Okay, so y'all help me correct something. So let's go 368. I probably used it for something else. Okay, plus 230. Okay, so it's 4. So let's go on and change this to 4416. Okay, we'll put the little asterisk there, and then we'll add that to the 9750. Okay, that's 14,000. Let's change it. 14,166. We're doing the math together. All right, 166. Okay, so we'll say that's what it is right there. All right. Okay, so you're going to see it's going to impact us. All right, so let's just watch while we're on the screen here. So that's what we would do if it was the heat pump, and it's 14,166 because we don't have a nameplate for our heat pump. So if we did, we just take the nameplate, right? But here we don't have that. All right, and if the amps are given on the nameplate, then we just simply do the conversion, like we said, in order to come up with the amps times the volts in order to come up with the VA, so we could come up with this. But we don't have that, so we're having to make it up here as we go, right? So we're all this type of stuff. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that typically when we're doing the heat pump, we wouldn't be having that air handler aspect of it, right? So that's how I know these are separate and this is not a heat pump. But we're just trying to give you an example of how we would do it as a, you get what I'm saying? Just trying to be the devil's advocate here. All right, so let's go to the next page. So here we would change this value. We change this to 14, and we would do this. I'm just showing you how we might do this in the scheme of if we wanted to say it was a heat pump. Okay, then we'll do this. Oops, sorry guys, I can't see my screen very well. At 166, and we'll see what our total would be. All right, so let's see here. So we got 22,922 plus 14,166. Okay, it'd be 37, and we'll do that. 37,088. Okay, so then if we go down here and we change this, kind of see how we would do it in the real world, right? If we were doing it. 0.88. So what would that turn this value into be? It's not going to change anything, but let's do this here. Let's do 37.088, and we're going to divide that by 240, and that is 154. So it changed it 1 amp, right? So 154.5, or we're going to say 155, right? So it didn't change anything for us, right? But it's still important to, in the scheme of everything, to look at it, right? Okay, so anyway, let's get back real quick to where we're at. And I kind of walk you through that what if scenario, all right? So even in our what if scenario, it would still be 155 amps, okay? So that type of scenario. So I'm going to show you how this would be different since we're using what? The fact that we don't have a heat pump, okay? So I'm going to show you. So let's get back to ours. So our original one, if you remember, and I'm going to remind you because we did jump around a little bit. I want to remind you our original one was right here, right? We were 136. That was the correct one because we know we don't have more than 4 or more individually controlled heat strips, right? So we know that this is the right one right here. But do you see the difference from 136? And if it was a heat pump with supplemental, then it would have jacked it to 155 versus 136. You see the difference? And the big difference is this would jack it up to a 175. But what would it be? And this is important on exams because that one little thing, they have to tell you it's a heat pump because that can change the total aspect of the calculation, right? Those little nuances that you're learning today, that you're kind of see how it can make a difference. And you can see it makes a difference in the real world. So let's get back to our original one. So we did our load. The accurate one was 136. Well, first thing you'll do is you'll go, okay, we're doing the optional method, and I need to see what the rating has to be of this circuit. Okay, so 136, you go to 240.6a, you'll notice that it does not correspond. There is no 136 rated overcurrent device. So the code in 240 allows us to go up to the next standard size. Okay, we're not over 800 amps, so we can use 240.4b, and we go up to the next standard size. So in this case, it's a 150. So I have a 150, which is adequate to handle 136 amps of load. Okay, that's that part. Okay. Now, one of the things that do confuse folks is we did this with the standard method, but we're doing it also with the optional method. It confuses folks because you get to use 310.12 also, even if it's an optional. You still get to use 310.12. It's not isolated just for the standard or part 3 method. It's not. Now, is our service over 100 but not over 400? Yes, it was 150. Okay, all right, so I'm able to use 310.12, all right? And in this case, we're using 310.12a, but if you're in an older edition, it might be 310.15b7.1, okay? That's an older edition. But if you're in the 2023, this is what you're gonna have. And it says in 310.12 that, and again, it also applies to a feeder application as well, which we're not gonna discuss in this one, but it applies to it. So what we want to do is it says the minimum, multiply the minimum size service or feeder rating, which is 150 amps. We already did that, by 83%. Okay, so I'm not going to trust this here because we've been messing around with some numbers here. So I'm going to do 150 times 0.83, and that gives me 124.5. Okay, so I got that right. Okay, that one is consistent. And so we round that 0.5 to, we can round this number to 125. Okay, so then we select a conductor from the 75-degree column in 310.16. Okay, all right, 310.16, and it's 310.15b16 for you guys that are in the older edition. And this would be a 1-gauge copper at 130 amps. You don't believe me? We need to go look at the code real quickly. I'll just go here to 310.16, and we are going to do giveaways here in a minute. I will bundle them up and do a bunch of them, but I want to get through this part for today. And let's see here. Hopefully the link's not going skitsy on me. It looks like it's going skitsy on me. So let's see here. It looks like I'm not logged in. So let's refresh it. Typical with link. All right. It's not wanting me to go in. Not letting me log in again. It's not liking me today. Interesting. Well, I guess we can go look at link. Wow. Leave it to NFPA to not let me get in. Wow. Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we can't go to link. Let me see here. I guess NFPA is upset at me for some reason. Or they're having a down with their system. Okay. All right. Well, typical NFPA, I would say it's probably just me. They probably have blocked me out of the system. Okay. That's wouldn't be the first time. Okay. So anyway, you could trust. Yep. But I mean, again, Cengage is in construction until the 27th. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But you had all year. Okay. So, I mean, things go down. It is what it is. Such is life. All right. So we had, so a 1 gauge is good for 130 amps under the 75. Now, why do we use the 75? Because we're not doing any adjustment or corrections, right? So we just go to the 75, all right? And we're over 100, so we know 110.14c is going to tell us that we go to the 75, that type of thing. I wasn't even aware of that, Adam. They didn't send me any notice, so that sucks, okay? The good news is everybody in our new programs don't have to worry about that because I don't ever go down for maintenance like that. I work on it right away. I get it fixed. All right, so in this case right here, let's see where we're at. So this is the minimum size conductor acceptable if all of the rules in 310.12 are followed, okay? So in this case, it's a 1 copper. Now, if aluminum is used, then your 75-degree column, table 310.16, then the ampacity would be a 2-aught aluminum conductor is 135 amps, which will also work just fine. So if it's a 150 amp rating, the minimum size conductors would be 1 AWG or 2-aught, okay? Now, you could also use the table that's there in 310.12, but obviously you'll know how I am. I like to go through all of the processes, right? So that type of scenario. So I go through the whole thing and use the 83% rather than use the table. I like you to get used to doing that because there is a case where you may have an ambient that correction you might have to make, and you need to know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to go watch my derating demystified video over on Fast Tracks Tube. Think about being a subscriber and help the channel, that type of thing. All right, bonus question. Let's see who all can answer this question here because we still got more to do, and we're going to do this in tomorrow's show, but I'm going to go over and show you how to do the neutral for this whole thing using the optional method, but I'm going to show you how we size the neutral, okay? So that's going to be cool. That's tomorrow, but we're going to look at, so here's a bonus question for you guys. What is the minimum size grounding electrode conductor to a water pipe ground? Assume that it's being supplemented. I'm not asking you about the supplementals. Don't care about the supplementals. Y'all know that it's got to be supplemented. All I want to know is what is the grounding electrode conductor size? What size should that be? Okay. And we'll see what everybody says. All right. And bear with me as I go in here and see if I can get into it here. So let's leave it bonus question. I got Adam says 6. Charlie says 32. I don't know what 32 means. 6. Cray says 6. I'm gonna let y'all have a little music here while y'all give me some sizes. Give me code reference. Adam says 04. Okay, remember we're talking about the water pipe. Okay, based on the calc we just did and the conductors we just chose and everything we just picked. Okay, give me some sizes. Paul says 10. I doubt that. I doubt that, Paul. I doubt that one seriously. Give it some thought, folks. Remember what we know. We know that it is a 1-gauge copper or 2-aught aluminum. So you can give me some minimum sizes here for the grounding electroconductor to the water pipe. Okay. Paul says 6. Okay. Adam says 250.66. All right. All right. So let's see here. So let's go to the code. Let's see if NFPA figured their stuff out here. Oops. Okay, NFPA figured their stuff out. Again, they must have given me a break. They said, oh, Paul, you're a nice guy. We're going to let you have it for today. Thank you, NFPA. Even though I paid you money, that's okay. You can love me or you can hate me. I don't give a rat's butt. All right, so remember, 250.66, we're not going to use A because we're talking about a water pipe. We're not going to use B, that's concrete encased electrode. We're not going to use C, it's a ground ring. So we, by default, we got to go to 250.66, the table, right? And it's based on the largest ungrounded conductor. Well, what size did we say we had? 1 copper or 2-aught aluminum. So depending on what you're using. So if it's a 1 copper, okay, there you go. Y'all are doing fine. Y'all's answers, I love y'all are getting those answers. Keep posting them away. Keep posting away. So if it's 1-aught copper, it's a 6. Absolutely. To the water pipe. Absolutely. 6. If it's a 2-aught aluminum, right there, it's still a 6. If it was an aluminum grounding electrode conductor, then it would be a 4. Okay. There you go. Y'all nailed it. Let's get back to the lesson. Let's see what we got in the posts here. Van Man 6, beautiful. Paul gave me a code reference. There you go, my brother. 666. Everybody, ooh, I didn't say it like that. Didn't mean to say it like that. But there you go. So it would be a 6. So that is great. Okay, let's do some giveaways real quick. That's what y'all want. We want some giveaways. All right, so make sure you hit the hashtag win. Let me get situated here so I can do some recording of names. The more we get, the more giveaways we can get, and it's going to make for a better drawing. Plus me. Did I say plus me? Trust me. All right. So let's go on and spin it. Hashtag win, all caps. Everybody give you a chance to do that. All right. You've already done it. You don't need to do it again. So let's go on and see what we can do. Let's pick a name. Oh, Montoya! Oh, there you go, Paul. That's awesome. Paul Montoya. All right, let's see what you get, my friend. Let's see if we can get you in on a chance to get you in on another one, because I think you're in on one of these for that software. The more you win, more times you get more names in the hat. So let's go. Let's see. That software is going to be awesome. Copy of it as well. I've used the software, so I can tell you I know all about the software. All right, Paul, you're in the drawing for a minimalist wallet. And it will be a wallet of your choice. If you're selected, you just go to our website, pick whatever design you want. And you can have your name added to it or whatever, your company name, whatever. But you're in the drawing for a minimalist wallet. So that is going to be on March 31st. So everybody that's asking, if it says drawing beside it, then your name is entered into a drawing. And there you go. All right. Hashtag win. Let's go. Let's do another one. I've got to catch up on these giveaways today. You're most welcome, Adam. Glad to have you here. All right, Trenton. Oh, Trenton, you got in on the best bid software the other day. So listen, maybe you'll get another in put in the box again for that. Let's spin it and see what you get here. All right, Trent. Let's see what you get. Let's see what you get. Oh, you're in the drawing for the little mini knives. The little electrician knife goes on your keychain. It's really neat for opening up boxes, panel board boxes, all that kind of stuff. So you got the knife drawing. Those are pretty cool little knives. Very limited. I only have a few of those left, but that's pretty cool little knife. Sharp as all get out. So again, you're in the drawing for a little mini knife. Good job. All right, let's pick another person here. Let's go. Getting people in on the drawings today. All right, melting toast. Let's see what you have a chance to get in on today. Okay, what do you got, melting toast? Fast Tracks Tube. All right, Fast Tracks Tube. I don't know if you already have that. If you do, let me know. Let's see, melting toast. You've been in on the best bid course before. I'm just trying to see real quickly if you have ever won the Fast Tracks. If you may already be a subscriber to it. If you are, let me know. We'll spin again. But I'm just looking over. And if you're not, and you want the Fast Tracks Tube, 12 months of access to the video platform, remember, it's not the Fast Tracks system courses. This is the video platform. Then all you got to do, Melting Toast, is go over to fasttrackstube.com and go up to the top where it says membership, click on member plans and choose the free membership, give your username, fill out the info, and then we will elevate you to the 12-month access. Okay. All right. So I don't see where you've won that before, so we'll put you down for Fast Tracks 2. Okay. All right, guys, let's close this thing out today. I'll bring it back to me. So I want to thank all of you for joining me today. If you get a free moment, do me a favor. Go in and try feeding the hog. Go over to tradehog.net and play around with it. We did not play with it today. Nope, we don't have a question to submit, and we're out of time. But I do appreciate you. If you have any topics you want us to talk about in future shows, or you want me to answer technical questions for you that you didn't post here, or you didn't want to post here, or if it was too long, look, folks, always remember that we have a service that's been around for years now. It's free. Okay. All you got to do is go to Paul Abernathy, PaulAbernathy.com. If you go there, you can submit your question directly to us, and it may be answered in an upcoming podcast, in an email. And if you want to have it answered on Coffee Hour, just say in your question, say, could you answer this on Coffee Hour? I'd be more than happy to answer it here on a Coffee Hour episode. It's a free service sponsored by Wix to help me answer questions for you. But also, don't be afraid to try out TradeHog and see what it says. It's a good resource, that type of thing. Okay. All right. I appreciate you all. Until next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow, where we'll end this thing up on optional. We will do the neutral conductor calculation, and I'll show you how you use the optional method. And then when you're doing the neutral, how you use the standard method in conjunction with the optional in order to be able to come up with your neutral calculation. And then we'll be done with the optional. If you have any questions, again, do me a favor, just go to paulabernathy.com, or you can email us as well. Till next time, or if you're in a Fast Tracks program, use the Fast Tracks Interact. When you're in your course, at the lower right of the screen, you'll see this little blue cloud. That is what you use to get into the Fast Tracks Interact feature. And you can post your question there, and it will get answered. All right? That's just another benefit that we give all our Fast Track students. Only available in the basic and enhanced. It's not available in the black or the plus. Okay? That was something new that came out with the enhanced in the basic program. So, okay. If you're in the black or the plus and you got questions, you just got to use paulabernathy.com. All right. Till next time, folks, stay safe. God bless. Catch you next episode tomorrow.